Could artificial intelligence write the next Passion of the Christ, the next War Room, or even the next Chosen hit series? Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In the last episode, we kind of explored the origins of AI and how it's shaping and changing the film and media creation industry and how that affects us as Christian content creators. In this episode, I want to dive into the question of, can artificial intelligence be used to tell God-honoring stories? I think the big tension is that while a lot of filmmakers are using artificial intelligence to help write their scripts, there's some things that AI just doesn't get, and we as believers really need to hold on to that. For example, AI can't understand the voice of God, redemption, grace, forgiveness. These are all God-given principles, and so artificial intelligence can't replicate that. So what does that mean for us as Christian filmmakers as we strive to tell God-honoring and God-serving stories? So let's get right into it. Okay, so let's talk about what the role of AI can actually be in the story writing process. Now, from my own experience, I have so far used ChatGPT, for example, in creating basic log lines, 2-paragraph synopses based on information that I have fed it about what I want to happen in the film, what the names of the characters are, what are some major beats that I want to happen. I've had it create for me beat outlines, 3-act structure breakdowns, and even 1-page treatments. Also character breakdowns, just to kind of help me redefine what characters are. And then it gives me a little bit of an output and I kind of fine tune it through the prompts I give it. I've used artificial intelligence to help me create concept art for pitch decks. And, take some of the actors I want to use and use images to create models that help give a better sense of what the film is that I want, what I want it to look like, the feeling I want to have, the genre that I want to fit in. But these are all just conceptual pieces of artwork, not official images being used. I've used AI to help me generate mock-up budgets, giving it a max budget cap figure and breaking it down by departments. These are all great in helping to write this story, but artificial intelligence can't write the story for me. And that's a key thing, is that artificial intelligence cannot replicate a life lived, personal experiences. Artificial intelligence can only spit out information that it's giving or what it's pulling from the internet. So if it gives you a bunch of story ideas, it's pulling from films that are already out in the public space, scripts that have been submitted online. That's where AI is pulling from. It's pulling from learned information. It can't generate a new thought based off of nothing. It has to be pulling from something. And that's a big thing to be aware of as a Christian storyteller. It can't replicate a personal tragedy. That only comes from us. We can tell those stories about experiences that have happened to us. And that's why still, the stories that resonate the most in films and television shows come from something personal. Every writer out there will tell you that there's a little bit of themselves in their screenplay. Whether they are aware of it or not, there is something there that's very personal, and that's what gives it that human connection. And that's really what we're trying to do as storytellers and as writers and screenwriters and even as directors and cinematographers, is we're trying to use all these artistic elements to make a human connection with our audience. We are trying to transport you and tell you this story and connect with you on an emotional, on a soul level. Sometimes we're trying to connect with you on an intellectual level. If we're filming a documentary, we're trying to connect, what your critical thinking is to what you're feeling on the inside. And that's the thing, is art is trying to make you think about something, but also to feel something. And that's an element that AI cannot replicate in storytelling. So the key thing to remember when you're going to write your screenplay is that AI is great for helping you generate ideas to help kind of work through maybe writer's block, to creating basic breakdowns and plot points and help you kind of work through all that. But it is a human being who has to sit down and write the story based on lived experiences. So, in conclusion of this point, I would say, from a writer's perspective, look at AI as a great personal research assistant to help you generate ideas, but then you need to take those ideas and weave them into the final story that ends up on the page. The next point I want to make in terms of telling a story with the use of AI is, here's a simple fact. AI is going to probably fall short spiritually and thematically in terms of faith-based concepts, because AI cannot experience forgiveness. It cannot experience redemption, the feeling of grace, the feeling of being forgiven by another person. It cannot feel the transforming power of God's love that He gives to us and the redemption we get through believing in His Son. AI can't replicate that. So the risk of telling a story with AI and letting AI write a majority of the story and you just changing a few little things is that AI is probably not going to get the nuances that these concepts of our faith feed into these stories. Or even worse, you're going to get a cliched version of that because it's going to pull from faith films that are out there already. And you run the risk of all of a sudden the story being full of Christian cliches, of stereotypes, which Hollywood already thinks of us as a stereotype. We've seen it time and time again in mainstream flicks that the Christian is usually someone who's coming across a little too zealous or a little on the crazy side, or they're there for comic relief. So why would you want to feed into that narrative? And AI lacks the nuances, the subtleties that come from writing from a believer's actual experiences. And everyone experiences their own personal faith, their own personal walk with God a little bit differently. You have your own ups and downs. You have your own challenges, and that shapes who you are as a person. And it shapes your beliefs and how you view God and how you walk with God. AI can't replicate that because it can't understand those concepts. It can only take what is fed into it and process that information, but it's information. It is not spiritual truths. And that's a key thing that other genres of filmmaking, this doesn't come into play for them. It comes in play for us as believers. These are stories and these are perspectives that only we can tell because we live it. And so this point is probably my cautionary tale point of when you use AI, make sure it is not taking away from the power that God gives us with His redemption of our souls and the healing power of hope and grace that we are given by our walk with God. That is something AI can never duplicate. So now we arrive at our third point of what is the relationship and responsibility of a Christian content creator and the use of AI in writing their stories. And I think it's pretty simple. You can definitely use AI to help you in prompting ideas, helping create structure and coming up with pitches and boiling things down to their essence in order to convey the most important parts of your story. If you're trying to pitch it for an investor or even maybe pitching it to a studio to get investment or distribution, I think that's all well good. I myself have used AI for exactly these purposes. The difference is that I think we cannot let AI be the main driver and the final say on the stories we tell. There has to be a filter that we take what AI systems are giving us, and we have to filter through our lens of faith, of our personal walks with God, and say, is the story that it's giving me and the adjustments I'm making, are they honoring God? Are they honoring what I know to be truths that cannot be violated and cannot be mocked? And if you filter everything through that lens, I think you're going to get a story that is God honoring, and you're still putting your own personal stamp on it, and you're not letting AI be the main driver of the vehicle. It is being driven by you, and that's an important thing as Christian content creators and filmmakers, is that We are in control of everything. We are driving the narrative. AI is our assistant in the passenger seat, helping us get through certain obstacles along the way, helping us generate ideas. But we are putting everything together and telling the story that we feel in our hearts is the next story that we need to tell. To sum it up, AI can be a great help in research, in creating outlines, bullet point breakdowns, character breakdowns, conceptual art, and helping you figure out all the different things when it comes to putting your story together. But the final say of the story, the writing of the story, it has to come from a human being. It has to come from a God-centered heart and perspective. And that's where we as Christian filmmakers need to take the lead in the conversation. And we need to lead from the front. And I think that'll make a big difference in the work that we are putting out there. And it will help our stories stay true to who we are. And it will continue to resonate with our audiences. So, looking ahead, our next episode is going to dive into how AI can play a role on set, both for good and for negative. So if you like this episode, feel free to leave a comment down below. Again, let's keep the conversation constructive. And I would love to know, have you used AI in helping you write a full script, or have you used it in prompts? And what was the experience like for you? So feel free to leave a comment down below. I will see you guys in the next episode. And as always, keep the faith and keep on filmmaking.